Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Lottie and today we are doing a really overdue book haul. Promised myself I wouldn't let it get this bad again and have to do a big book haul all in one go, but I don't know, I guess I'm the queen of procrastination. I have mentioned some of the books I'm going to talk about today in previous videos, but I feel like they've mostly been vlogs and stuff, so I wanted to do a big collective book haul. You can't see them at the moment, but my bed is literally covered in books. This backs up all the way to May, I think, and it's currently September, so I've kind of tried to split this into sections to make it a little bit easier for me to get through. We'll see how that goes, but yeah, I'm not leaving it this long again. This is just ridiculous. It is literally ridiculous. So this is essentially my book haul from the summer, I guess, back from the very start of May up until literally yesterday, the 10th of September. So Lego. I'm going to start with probably the most interesting books that I've acquired over the last few months, which are my book box books. So the first was You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi, and this was the May Afterlight pick. This is a contemporary romance. I haven't read it yet and I don't know how soon I'm going to get to it. The blurb of this makes me think it's more of a contemporary literary fiction than a straight up romance, which is what most of the Afterlight books have been, and I'm not too big of a fan of literary fiction, so I will definitely be picking it up at some point. It's just not the one I'm that excited about. Next is the August Afterlight pick, which was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, and I did get the add-on for the Love Hypothesis, so I have them both in matching editions. And again, this is a contemporary romance. It's what the Afterlight book box is for, and it's about women in STEM. I don't really know much about it. This one is on my September TBR and I'm going to be getting to it very, very soon. If I like it, which I'm assuming I will probably pick this one up very quickly as well. I love these editions. I love the sprayed edges. I think they're really, really cute, especially this green. I don't know, I just really vibe with it. My last book box book is my very first Fairyloot Adult book. I will insert the clip of me unboxing that here. Terrible angle, but this is being inserted into a haul I haven't filmed yet. My first Fairyloot Adult has arrived. It's Babel, whatever you want to call it. The exclusive edition comes with an exclusive cover with 2 foils, stunning digital sprayed edges, a design on the hardcover with foil details, character artwork on the end papers, and is signed by the author. So let's get it out of the box. It's so cute. It's not as impressive as the Illumicrate edition I've seen, if I'm being honest. Oh my god, those edges. Wow. I really like the foiling. I do really like the foiling. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Naked hardback. I would probably keep it like this, like just naked. I don't think it needed a dust jacket. And on the other end, papers. I love it. It's gorgeous. There is the signature. Back to me in the studio. This is Babel by R.F. Kuang, the Fairyloot exclusive edition. It is absolutely stunning. I am obsessed with it. I can't wait to read it. That's under the dust jacket. The naked hardback, like, it's just gorgeous. So this is a adult dark academia about Babel in Oxford. Something to do with translation, magic. I don't really like, I've read the blurb a few times and I still don't fully understand what it's meant to be about, but everybody has been raving about this book. I'm very interested to read it. I haven't read much dark academia before, but what I have read I've been very intrigued by, so it's a genre I'm very interested in diving into. I did mostly subscribe to Fairyloot Adult specifically so I could get a special edition of this book, and I was so lucky that pretty much the day after I rejoined the waiting list, because I was originally on the waiting list when it was first announced, but unfortunately I missed my chance to sign up for it. I basically got the email the next day, so I don't know if it's because I was already on the waiting list from before or if they happened to have a spot ready at that time, but I was very lucky, so I managed to get my Fairyloot Adult book. Very excited for this one. Next, I'm gonna talk you through the books that I have been gifted by other people. Most of these have been through Patreon gift exchanges. I'm a member of two main Patreons, which is Spoops and Row, and Spoops does quite a lot of Patreon gift exchanges. She finds any excuse for them basically. So we've done one for Pride, we did one for Camp Spookathon as well. I think those are the two most recent ones, but she's done one for Valentine's Day in the past. She'll probably do one in October for Halloween. We've done Christmas one in the past as well. And it's so nice to just like, it's like a Secret Santa, so we are randomly assigned someone to gift a book to, and then you get a book off someone random in return. It's just like really nice because it's like Christmas year round basically. So that's something I really enjoy doing. So I'll show you the two books from my gift exchanges first. So the first one was this really tiny little fantasy novella called A Kiss of Light and Flame, which I think was from the Pride gift exchange. This one was gifted to me by Catherine, so thank you Catherine. I have read this. It was so short, so I just like managed to squeeze it onto my June like TBR I think, and it was really cute. It's a little sapphic fantasy romance about a witch and a princess, I think, and it's like a really short story. It's not like the best written thing, but it's so short, like it was just really cute. I think there's like a series of them that are all probably about the same length, where it's just like a short fantasy novella about gay women. It was great. And then the second gift exchange we did was for Camp Spookathon back in August, and I was gifted the Kiss Quotient trilogy by Emily. Thank you, Emily. This is my favourite romance series ever. It was the first romance series I ever read. And yeah, I love this. I read them all on Kindle. In fact, I borrowed the first one from the library, and then I read the other two on Kindle, and I've just really wanted to have physical editions of them because I love them so much. Finally, I've got my physical editions thanks to Emily, so I'm just really happy that like they're on my shelves. If I ever get to meet Helen Huang, I'll obviously be taking these to be signed by her because I just love her so much and I love her books. These are contemporary romances. There's always like an autistic main character, so in the first book it is the female love interest, and they all sort of cover different aspects of autism, and Helen Huang, she like writes it in a way where you get to see different sides to autism, and instead of the like stereotypical way you tend to see it presented in general media. And then obviously they're like really steamy, sexy romance books as well, so it's just great stuff all around. The next two books were gifted to me by the same person, just at different times. So the first one we've got is The Miseducation of Cameron Post, and the other one is Some Girls Do by Jennifer Duggan, both lesbian books I believe. And these were both gifted to me by Liam, who is one of my subscribers. Thank you, Liam. So I have read this one before. This is one of my favourite books of all time, and it is a historical fiction about this girl, Cameron Post. And it's sort of just the story of her growing up in the 90s in very Christian small town America, I think, and she lives with her aunt, and her aunt is really homophobic, and she is caught kissing a girl one day and she gets sent to Christian conversion camp. It was just such a really like eye-opening, touching story. I absolutely loved it. I really do want to reread it at some point, and I put the copy of it, because I read it originally from the library, I put a copy of it on my wish list because I wanted a physical copy, and I was going to buy it for myself at some point when Liam bought it for me, which was really kind of him. So I do intend to reread this and fully like annotate it and everything because it's one of my favourite books. And then the other one was Some Girls Do, and I haven't read this yet. I'm really interested to read it. I don't know too much about it other than it is I think it's a YA sapphic romance. Yeah, I don't really know much about it, but Liam bought this for me during Yalk. He says, I wish I was meeting you at Yalk this weekend, but hopefully it helps you with the FOMO and cheers you up. I'm sure Yakovan will help too. So yeah, I was really like delighted to be gifted this because I couldn't go to Yalk this year sadly. So it was really just nice that he sent this to me. I mean, I haven't read it yet, which is not much of a shock with me. I'm really bad at reading books as soon as I've acquired them, but I do really want to read it soon. Sadly, it feels like a really nice summery read, so I don't know if I'm going to get to it by the end of the year yet, but I definitely will be prioritising it sort of around spring summertime next year. Then I received a Amazon gift card from work for doing a little bit of overtime for a special event that we had done, so I used that to buy myself the next 3 Shadowhunters books that I need for By the Angel Along. So it was kind of a gift from work, but also like I chose the gift, if that makes any sense. So we've got the Bane Chronicles, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy and Ghosts of the Shadow Market, which are all short story collections focusing on various characters in the Shadowhunters world. We're reading this one in October and we're reading this one in November for By the Angel Along, which is why I was like anticipating that I needed to get them in time for that schedule, and it was really nice that I was able to use a gift card from work to purchase them. I don't know where we'll be getting to this one yet. I feel like it's probably going to be a little while down the road based on what Becca has said about the reading order. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to these two, especially the Bane Chronicles, because Magnus Bane is one of my favourite characters in the Shadowhunters world. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading these. And then the next few I bought off Vicky, who is one of Spook's patrons. She was unhauling these books and basically just wanted shipping to be paid for them, so I'm including them in the gift section even though they're not gifts really. And that is a few of the Disney Twisted Tales. So we have A Whole New World, which is Aladdin, Once Upon a Dream, which is Sleeping Beauty, As Old as Time, which is Beauty and the Beast, Reflection, which is Mulan, Part of Your World, which is The Little Mermaid, my personal favourite, Mirror Mirror, which is Snow White, and Let It Go, which is obviously Frozen. I have been wanting to read these books for a fair amount of time. I love Disney. I bought Disney Dreamlight Valley yesterday and I was playing it all evening, and I am probably going to go and play it after I finish filming this video. It's so good. So yeah, I really wanted to read these books for quite a while, but they weren't so much of a priority, and the fact that Vicky was unhauling so many of them in one go and you know, I managed to get them for basically free, couldn't pass up the opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to reading these. I don't think you have to read them in any particular order, but I'm going to be really reading them in release order because that's what makes the most sense to me. So I definitely be starting with A Whole New World, and I really want to try and read at least one of them before the end of the year just to see how I gel with the writing style. They do have different authors, but what's her name? Liz Braswell has written quite a few of the first ones, so I'm going to see how I get on with the writing style of the books to, you know, get a gauge on like if I like them. I love everything Disney, and I especially love the idea of like twisted fairy tales and stuff, so I'm really looking forward to reading these. Now moving on into the territory of books that I've bought for myself. I'm going to start with pre-orders, even though a lot of these came out quite a while ago now. I can't remember the particular order that these were released in, so it's just going to be a pretty random order. I'm going to start with This Wicked Fate by Kaylin Barron, which is the sequel to This Poison Heart, and as you guys know, I have read this and I did not enjoy it. I am going to be keeping on to it because I really enjoyed This Poison Heart and I don't want to have just one of the books in the duology. But yeah, this put quite a sour taste in my mouth for Kaylin Barron's books, which I'm really disappointed about just because I really didn't like it. The pacing, the writing was just not for me. So I'm going to be a little bit more reluctant to pick up her books in the future, very sadly. But yeah, this is a kind of secret garden retelling. The main character, she has plant magic and she inherits this whole house, and she's just kind of like trying to solve the mystery of like her birth family basically, and there's Greek myth references in there as well, quite heavily in this book in particular. Next is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and this is the Waterstones exclusive edition and it is signed as well. I don't know too much about this book. It first like came on my radar when Beth from Books Nest was reading it, and then Christy from Christy Reads read it, and like she has been raving about it as well, so I do really want to pick this up very, very soon. It was mostly the cover that drew me into this, not gonna lie. It's shiny and rainbow, so it's just, my eyes were just like, yes, I want this book. I think it's kind of like a historical fiction about two people who like were childhood best friends and they create a games company together or something. But Beth really, really liked this, Christy really, really liked this, so I feel like I'm gonna really, really like this as well. Then this is probably the most recent one that's come out. It is Mina and the Slayers by Amy McCall, which is obviously the sequel to Mina and the Undead. I really loved Mina Mia and the Undead. I'm planning to read this during Spookathon in October. I don't care what the prompts are for Spookathon, I am going to be reading this book. This is a YA mystery horror series about Mina, who goes to stay with her sister in New Orleans, and she finds a dead body, and they're trying to like solve the mystery of who killed her, and there's like vampires and everything involved as well. Very, very excited to get to this sequel. Next is Life is Strange Settling Dust, which is by Emma Vicelli, Claudia Leonardi and Andrea Izzo, which was the last book in the Life is Strange comic series based on the Life is Strange video games. I have talked about this series quite a lot on my channel because I've been reading all 6 of the comics. I loved this. It was such a lovely ending to the series, and I was a little bit sad about it, but yeah, this just, I love it. So that I really want to show you this picture that I'm looking at right now, but it's a major spoiler, even though the artwork is beautiful. The artwork in this is stunning. I'm obsessed with it. It's got such a diverse cast of characters as well. All 3 of the main characters are sapphic, and you also have like a side cast of characters, which is this band, and like one of them's Muslim, one of them's non-binary, one of them's black. In fact, 2 of them are black actually. So it's like a really diverse cast of characters, which is what I love about it. And the story is great as well. It's like a sci-fi series about time travel and like multiverses. I do recommend playing or watching a playthrough of the games before reading the comic series, because it won't make that much sense to you if you've not, like, if you don't know the backstory and everything. But I really do recommend it. It's gorgeous. I'll definitely be picking up more comics by this like group of authors, because not only did I love the story and the way Emma Vicelli like captured the essence of the Life is Strange games, artwork is stunning as well. I just vibe with the artwork so much. It's beautiful. Next is Misrule by Heather Walter, which is the sequel to Malice, which is a Sleeping Beauty retelling told from the perspective of the villain, who is basically Maleficent. I love Maleficent as like a character, especially in the original movie. First book in this duology was very much like Maleficent in the original movie almost. I don't like the Maleficent film with Angelina Jolie as much, because they turned her evil character into like a, oh, she's really a good guy, you know, sort of thing. And I quite liked that the original Maleficent was just a straight up bitch. But anyway, this is the sequel to Malice. I plan on picking this up during Spookathon, because I read the first one during Spookathon, and I really liked it. It's sapphic as well, which is cool. It's like an adult fantasy, but it reads like a YA. The writing style is not quite like adult fantasy level. It's kind of a weird one. It's definitely more like new adult in between, you know. I really liked the first one, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to conclude. And then my last pre-order was Lore Olympus Volume 2 by Rachel Smythe, which is obviously the second one in the Lore Olympus series, the print version of the webtoon comics. So this is the Waterstones exclusive edition with the different cover. I've mentioned this before. My copy is a bit messed up with the printing. Some of the chapters and pages are out of order. It was really annoying, but I really enjoyed the story anyway. I love the artwork in this as well. Like, it's just so gorgeous, so colourful. I'm really looking forward to the third one, which is coming out really soon. I think it's either October or November. So obviously I've got that pre-ordered as well. I'm going to be picking that up ASAP. Right then, so everything else is kind of just a bit jumbled up. I'm going to start with the books that I got in the Orbit sale back in May. So yeah, back in May, Orbit, the publishing company, did a massive sale for Star Wars Day where all of their books were half price. So I just went ham and bought a lot of books. First, we've got the Feed series by Myra Grant, who is Shauna Maguire. We've got Feed, Deadline, Blackout, and Feedback. I really do want to read this series. I love zombie books. This is like a zombie story about journalists in the zombie apocalypse, I think. And I really want to read something other than the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire as well, and see how I gel with her adult horror. It's just a matter of when. I'm trying to finish series instead of starting loads of new ones. So it's probably going to be a little while before I get to these and some of the other books that I'm going to talk about in the Orbit sale section as well. But yeah, I really want to read these books. Then I have another Myra Grant trilogy, which is another sci-fi, which I think is about medicine. This one's called Parasite. It's the Parasitology trilogy. So we've got Parasite, Symbiont, and the third one, Chimera. I've not really heard much about this trilogy. Like, I didn't really know it was a thing until I saw it on Orbit's website. This is another like horror sci-fi by Myra Grant, which I feel like is going to be very reminiscent of COVID based on what I get from the blurb. But yeah, it's like about a parasite, a disease, something like that. And then I got another Mara Grant book, obviously, and this one is Into the Drowning Deep, which is about scary mermaids. I don't really know much more about it than that, other than like it's a horror, it's an adult horror, and it is a standalone. I'm really looking forward to reading this as well. It's just, again, finding the time to pick it up. Because it is a horror, I would like to try and maybe read it during Spookathon if I have the time, but there's so many books I'm like, I really want to read during October because they're spooky. I just, yeah, we'll see. I might just have to like not do anything in October except read, because there's so many books I want to read in October that I just know I'm not going to have the time for, especially with me like wanting to finish the Throne of Glass series and be reading the Shadowhunters series as well. Like, that just takes all my time at the moment. Another sci-fi I got during the Orbit sale was Intrusion by Ken MacLeod, and I remember seeing this book, I think, in Waterstones ages ago, but I don't think I had the money or something to pick it up at the time because, you know, I was a broke teenager. This is another sci-fi about something to do with like genetically modified babies, basically. I just love medical sci-fi. I feel like a lot of it really intrigues me, even though I haven't read that much of it. But like, if I'm gonna watch a horror sci-fi thriller type film on like Netflix, you know, those like B movies on Netflix, I love the ones that have like a little bit of like a medical facility setting twist going on. I don't know, there's just something about that setting that really intrigues me. Like with zombie films, it's like all about like the disease of it all. I don't know, yeah, I'm just really intrigued to read this. Dystopian is the Book of Coley by M.R. Carey. This is the first in a trilogy, and I realised after I'd already ordered it that we have the whole trilogy in the libraries that I work in, so I don't really need to buy a copy because I could just get it from the library. But because I've not read from M.R. Carey before, I didn't want to get the whole trilogy just in case I didn't like their writing style. But I'm really intrigued by this. It's about like killer plants basically in like this dystopian world, and it's, like I said, the first in a trilogy, so I'm really intrigued to read that one. And then I also picked up The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey, which I don't think I realised at the time these were two books by the same author, which this one is like another zombie one. It's either a standalone or the first in a duology. There's another one that's called like The Boy on the Bridge or something like that, and I don't know if it's like a sequel or a companion novel like set in the same universe, but this is another one I'm really intrigued to read as well. Then I picked up For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, which is a like Little Red Riding Hood retelling in like a high fantasy world. First in a duology, and again, I didn't want to get the second one, partially because I don't know if I'm gonna like this with like a new author, new writing style and everything, but also because the second one had only just come out, so it's still in hardback, and I don't like having books in a series where some of them are paperback and some of them are hardback. I thought I can just wait for the paperback to come out, even though I won't be able to get it for, you know, the sweet deal that I got the rest of these books for. And the last book I got on the Orbit sale was The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep by H.G. Parry, and I'd never heard anything about this book before, and then I remember during Whateverathon in June, this was one of Beth's favourite books on like the little graphic, so it would have been nice if I could read it during Whateverathon, but it just wasn't really a priority. And this is a book about books, which I don't have a lot of books about books or like read a lot of books about books, but it's something I definitely like want to try and like read more. I think it's about like characters coming to life out of the pages, a little bit like Inkheart, I guess, but I guess like adult fantasy. So yeah, I'm interested to read that one as well. Next, I'll talk you through the books that I got when I went to London. I have mentioned this before in my London vlog, but I will show you now anyway. So I went to two main bookstores when I went to London, those being Gaze the Word on Marchmont Street, which is a queer run bookshop which has like just loads of queer books. So the first one I got was Gay Club by Simon James Green, and I picked this up mainly because Spoops was raving about it so much. It was like, it's like one of their favourite books of the whole year, I think. And this one is signed, which was really exciting as well. And so this is a young adult contemporary about this kid who like wants to run to be the president of his school's like gay society. And I think the school's like, we have to open it up to like the whole school or something. And it's like, well, why would a straight kid like want to be in the society, like leading the society, when it's for like gay people? Something like that. I don't really know, but I'm very intrigued to read that, and the cover is so cute. Then I picked up All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, which is a non-fiction memoir about being black and queer and growing up in the States. I've heard quite a lot of good things about this one as well, and I'm really interested to pick it up. I'm not a big non-fiction reader. It's not so much of a priority, but I definitely do really want to read it because I know that I'm going to be really intrigued by it. The only kind of non-fiction I'm interested in is like queer non-fiction, I think, so I'm really intrigued to read this one. The last book I got from Gaze the Word was Icus Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston, and this one is signed as well. Very exciting. And this is a contemporary, I'm not sure if it's young adult or adult, but it gives me Paper Towns vibes by John Green. She kisses a girl, what's her name? Chloe kisses Shara, and then Shara disappears and they're trying to find her or something. So very, very Paper Towns-esque. I've never read a Casey McQuiston before, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. I'm intrigued to read it. I mainly picked it up because it was signed, not gonna lie. Wouldn't have been my first choice for like my first Casey McQuiston book. I mostly want to try and pick up One Last Stop first, I think. This is the one that I own, so it's probably the one that I'm going to read first. And then the last book I got from my trip to London was Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and this is the Forbidden Planet edition, so those are the sprayed edges, and this one is also signed as well. This is the only one of those that I have read and I didn't like it that much, but because it's an exclusive signed edition, I'm probably going to be keeping hold on to it for the foreseeable. This is about a like old haunted house, basically. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but yeah. Everything else is just books I've gotten here and there. So as you guys know, I have been collecting the new editions of Stephen King's books that are being released every so often by Holder and Stoughton, which is leading up to the 50th anniversary of Carrie. So the next few that I've picked up have been Rose Madder. I don't really know what this is about, to be honest. I think it's something to do with a like painting. These books, like I buy them, but I don't necessarily like pay attention to what they're about. They are purely for me to collect, which I do have the intention to read all of them, but I don't really care what the plot is. So then, and the next one was Dolores Claiborne, which again, I don't know what it's about. These two are from the Thrilling Suspense collection, which was the third collection to have been released. And then the last one, which was part of the Thrilling Suspense collection, is The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, which I didn't know this one was so short, but this is about a girl who gets lost in the woods. This is probably one of the ones I'm going to pick up the soonest because it's so short. That's another one from the Thrilling Suspense collection. I've only read one in this collection so far, which was Gerald's Game, and I loved it. And so I definitely think I'm going to be prioritising these books first by Stephen King because of how much I enjoyed it, and I quite liked the whole thrilling suspense aspect of them. So that's those three. So I have now completed this mini collection in the whole reprint that's going on. And then the next one I've picked up is part of the next collection, which is the Riveting Dark Story collection, and this one is Skeleton Crew. All of the books in this collection are short story collections. There are a lot of short stories in this, and considering there are like 10 books or something in this collection, I'm very intrigued like how I'm going to get on with these books because I don't read a lot of short stories. That's the first one of these that I've picked up, and I actually picked this up yesterday when I went to Rose Patreon meetup in Birmingham. So this is the book, one of the books that I got when I met Ro and some of the fellow crab cults. Very unusual for me is to pick up classics. I've got Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass and wait, no, this is the wrong way around. I've got Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There by Lewis Carroll. Don't read a lot of classics, as you guys know. But the classics I'm most interested in reading are gothic fiction, like Frankenstein and Dracula, and children's books. So I love Alice in Wonderland, I love the story, I love the animated movie that Disney did, I like the new one by Tim Burton. I have never actually read the book or books, so I picked these up in, I think it was in HMV because they were on like a deal or something. So that's those two. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. Some of the books that I picked up on part of that deal was the Alien books. So these are based on the Alien films, and they're new original stories that are like canon in the world. So they're like a trilogy, but they're a series of standalones, I think, and I don't think they follow the same characters. I don't know if Ripley's in them. This one says Ripley on the blurb, but I don't know if she's in the rest of them. But I really like the Alien films, and I really want to read more like heavy sci-fi, and I feel like this might be a good place to sort of dip my toes into that. So yeah, that's the Alien books. This one's called Alien Out of the Shadows, this one's Alien Sea of Sorrows, and this one's Alien River of Pain. There is a reading order to them, but I can't remember what it is at the moment, so I'm going to worry about that when I get to them. A couple of historical fiction books I've picked up are The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. I have seen a film of this quite a while ago now. I really liked it, and then I was doing some displays at work for Pride Month and just kind of like looking on a list of queer books I can throw in there that I don't really necessarily know about, and this was always at the top of like the queer books list, lesbian fiction, so I didn't realise this was a gay book at the time, but now I do, so that's why I've picked it up mainly. I don't know much about it, I can't remember the film very well, but it's about sisters growing up in early 20th century rural Georgia, so I feel like it's probably going to talk a lot about racism and everything. I liked the film from what I can remember of it, so I'm really interested to read the book. I think it's told in a series of like prayers or letters. I'm very interested to see how I'm going to get on with this. It's very, very like literary fiction, so I don't know like how will I get on with it because I don't read a lot of literary fiction, but it is like a genre I'm interested in reading. And then we've got Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is a historical fiction about a party. I'm very touch and go with Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and I loved it, and I've also read Daisy Jones and the Six, but I DNF'd that, so I don't know how I'm going to get on with this one, but I'm interested enough to read it. I think it's going to feature characters from both of those other books. I'm very interested to see how I get on with it as well, because with Evelyn Hugo I listened to the audiobook, but with Daisy Jones and the Six I tried to read it physically. I was reading it on my Kindle because I borrowed it from the library, and I feel like I would have gotten on better with Daisy Jones had I been listening to the audiobook of it. So we'll see if I can get through this physically, and if I do find myself struggling with it I will try and pick up the audiobook and see if that's any better, and then I will know for the future if I want to read a Taylor Jenkins Reid book if I should just listen to the audiobook and not bother physically. This is The Power by Naomi Alderman. Somebody at work dropped off a bunch of donations and we're not strictly taking donations at the moment, so I was just like looking through them to see if they were any good for us, and I just thought I would just take this for myself and then I can get rid of it accordingly if I decide I don't like it or I don't want to read it. So this is a literary fiction but also like a bit of a dystopian about women like getting a superpower basically. Before I was like, is this any good, to like people in Discord, I didn't know really much about it, and then other people have now said like it wasn't really that good, so I'm not as like interested in picking this up now, but I've heard it doesn't read very well, and like the concept's there but not the execution and stuff, so I don't know how I'm gonna fare with this one, but I like the idea behind it all, so yeah. Then we've got some contemporary romance. This one is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I've mainly picked this up because it is Becca and the book's favourite book of the year so far, and a lot of the books that she loves I love as well. This is like an office romance about two people who hate each other and obviously ultimately end up dating up for whatever reason. Very interested to read this one. I just hate the stupid Netflix sticker that's on it here. We're just gonna pretend that's not there. But yeah, it's like an enemies to lovers romance. And then we've got The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas, which is a fake dating one about this woman who has to take a date to a wedding, I think. Again, don't really know too much about it, but very interested to see how I get on. These two have been very, very, very popular. This one especially because it's got a new Netflix movie. These have been very, very popular, like in general. I picked this up from the works. Like anything you can get in the works is like a really popular book. And I'm probably the last person on earth to have read these yet, but I'm very excited to read them. And the last three books I'm going to talk about today are some spooky graphic novels. The first one is Sheets by Brenna Thumler, and this is about a ghost in a laundromat, I believe. I don't really know much about it. I just think that the picture was really cute on the cover. That's the main reason I picked it up. So I'm not a massive fan of the art style in this. I think I can get over it for the cute story at the very least. So yeah, that's one. And then I've got Sad Ghost Club by Liza Meddings, which is about, I guess, a sad ghost. This one is really cute as well. I think Christy's read this quite recently, so I'm really excited to read this one. The last book about today is Mooncakes by Wendy Xu, Suzanne Walker and Jo Gill, and this is another like spooky graphic novel. It's like a fantasy. The artwork in this is really cute. I don't really know what it's about. I picked this up yesterday as well from Waterstones when I went to Rose's Patreon meetup, hoping to read all of these over the next few months during like spooky autumnal season, because they're really cute, and obviously because they're graphic novels, like it's not going to be too difficult to fit them onto my TBR. They're all absolutely adorable. I really want to get more into my graphic novels, and I'm starting to pick up quite a lot more, so I'm very excited to have these to read because they're just so cute. And like, yeah, I don't know, it's just so easy to read a graphic novel because you don't really have to think about it. So that was all the books for today's haul. I think I have done it pretty well for time, considering how many books that I've talked about today. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, I am not going to leave it this bad again. I will probably do one more big haul at the end of the year, depending on what I get over the next few months. But if I can, I'm going to try and do more smaller hauls, because this is just ridiculous. Like, you guys don't want to hear about a book that I bought in May when it's September. Yeah, that's it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, and let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these books and what you thought about them. If you haven't already and you would like to be, please do consider subscribing. I post a new video every single week. And that's it from me today, guys. Bye!